Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are strapping ourselves in, metaphorically speaking, for a bit of a journey. We're heading deep into the Australian outback
Hmm.
to a place called Tibooburra. It's so remote, its isolation is, well, it's legendary.
It really is. And that isolation, you really have to stress it. Tibooburra is way out there, far northwest New South Wales, like 11,187 kilometers northwest of Sydney,
Wow.
right in the unincorporated far west region. And it's tiny. The last census, 2021, recorded only 95 people living there.
95, okay, that's small. But let's put that distance into context for you. If you need, say, a doctor or major shopping or your car breaks down,
Yeah, good luck.
you're looking at a 335-kilometer drive south just to get to Broken Hill.
Exactly. So it's not just remote.
Right.
Well, the community has to be incredibly self-reliant, prepared for anything, really.
That really sets the stage. And the name itself, Tibooburra, where did that come from?
It's derived from an Aboriginal word, Gibberburra. It means heap of boulders.
Heap of boulders.
Yeah. And you might hear it pronounced slightly differently by locals. Sometimes Kibooburra, sometimes Tibooburra. Sort of a softer P sound.
And visually, it makes sense, right? You mentioned these granite outcrops.
Oh, absolutely. They're quite striking. These huge granite rocks, they just erupt out of the ground right next to the streets, even among them. The geology is just right there.
That really shapes the place.
Yeah. The geology tells as much of the story as the history books, you could say.
Okay, so that's our mission today. We're diving into those layers, the sometimes brutal history of exploration, the gold rush boom and bust,
Right.
and then how this tiny desert community adapted things like, culture, art, and even really innovative distance education. It's quite a story of survival.
It is.
So let's start with that history. Why did Europeans, the British, first head out into this incredibly harsh country? It sounds like it didn't go too well initially.
No, not really. That's spot on. The first real European presence was Charles Sturt's expedition back in 1844.
Yeah.
He was pushing northwest, trying to find an inland sea, and basically got stuck. Spent 6 months trapped by drought at a place called Depot Glen, just south of Tibooburra.
6 months, just stuck.
6 months. Yeah, imagine just being completely immobilized by the lack of water for half a year. Brutal conditions.
Wow. And he wasn't the last explorer to struggle out there, was he?
No, definitely not. You had the famous Burke and Wills expedition pass through that general area in 1861. Their journey was ill-fated, as you know.
Right, the tragic one.
But, interestingly, it was actually the massive search for Burke and Wills, not their original trip, that really opened up that country afterwards for the pastoral industry, for sheep farming,
Ah, okay. So the search parties mapped it out better.
pretty much. But we absolutely have to acknowledge, long before any Europeans arrived, this was, and still is, the traditional land of the Wankamara Aboriginal peoples.
Right, an essential point.
And there's a really critical and frankly devastating piece of history here from much later, in 1938.
What happened then?
Well, the Aborigines Protection Board forcibly relocated almost all of the remaining Aboriginal people from that area
Forcibly relocated, where to?
to places hundreds of kilometers away, like Brewarina, Menindee, Kempsey, just scattered them.
That's appalling. A total disruption of their connection to the land.
Exactly. It speaks volumes about the policies of the time, disregarding traditional rights and community ties. It essentially cleared the path for European settlement to shift focus from, well, exploration failures to resource extraction.
Which brings us to the gold rush. That seems to be the next big chapter.
Yep, gold. Always gold somewhere in Australia. It was found around Tibooburra in 1880, kind of an extension of the rush happening in the nearby Albert goldfields.
Okay.
At first, the area was just called the Granites, which makes sense given the landscape.
Yeah, those boulders again.
Right. But the town was formally surveyed and named Tibooburra in 1881. The warden in charge, a guy named W.H.J. Slee, actually preferred the Aboriginal name.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and by 1887, the population had jumped to about 250 people. Quite a little boom.
And there's that amazing detail, is there, about how they found the gold.
Oh yeah, the stories are incredible. Apparently, after heavy rain, gold nuggets would sometimes just be found exposed right there in the streets.
Just lying there. Wow.
Imagine. But, like most gold rushes in really tough environments, the climate fought back. There was a really severe drought in 1884.
Ah, reality bites.
Definitely. So between the climate and the gold becoming harder to find, the boom didn't last that long. By about 1900, mining had really faded.
So what took over?
Sheep stations, The pastoral industry became the main thing. Huge properties running sheep were the economic and sort of social backbone for Tibooburra right through until the 1980s.
So the town survived the gold bust, largely thanks to sheep. But how did it maintain its identity and maybe find a new appeal in more modern times? What kept it going culturally?
Well, the pubs were absolutely central. They still are, really. The hotels were the social hubs for station workers, for townspeople, for travelers. You've got the Family Hotel, which opened way back in 1882.
Still going strong.
Yep. And the Tibooburra Hotel, which is a bigger two-story place. They're landmarks.
And the family hotel has something quite special inside, doesn't it? The art.
Ah, yes. That's a fascinating story. You get this collision of like high art and the dusty outback. Famous artists, particularly Clifton Pugh, became really captivated by the area.
Clifton Pugh, okay.
Yeah, he'd stay at the family hotel. And while he was there, he painted this incredible series of murals, drawings, sketches right onto the inside wall of the bar.
Wow. Directly on the wall, in the pub.
Directly on the wall. It's amazing. High art right there with your beer. And what's really cool is that Pugh consciously borrowed stuff from other famous Aussie artists. There are effects that echo Norman Lindsay and this recurring image of outstretched arms.
Yeah.
That comes directly from Arthur Boyd's paintings. It's this unique, kind of surreal mashup of Australian art history right there in a desert pub.
That's incredible. It really speaks to a unique, resilient culture, a culture that was, for a long time, protected, maybe even defined, by how hard it was to get there, those rough roads.
Oh, absolutely. The isolation was physical.
But that's changing now with tourism and infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely. The rise of 4WD tourism brought more people out that way, seeking that remote experience. And the big game changer was sealing the road from Broken Hill. That was finally finished and officially opened in 2020.
Right. 2020, so quite
Very recent.
Yeah.
Makes access much easier, though. Nothing really tames the environment itself.
Let's talk about that environment. You mentioned the climate classification, BWOCH, hot desert.
Yeah, that basically means it's seriously hot and seriously dry. The climate is probably the single biggest factor defining life there.
So what are the extremes like? How hot does it get?
Oh, summers are intense. Temperatures regularly go over 40 degrees Celsius. That's what, 104 Fahrenheit?
Phew. Yeah, that's hot.
And even winter days, while milder, maybe around 19 Celsius on average, can get surprisingly cold at night. Frosts are pretty common.
Okay, so big temperature swings. And rainfall must be the main challenge.
Definitely. It's incredibly scant. The average annual rainfall is only about 230 millimeters.
Well, that's not much at all.
No. To give you an idea, London gets well over double, maybe triple that. And think about the really bad years in 1919, the driest year on record. They only got 47.9 millimeters for the whole year.
Wow, living on the edge.
Totally. But then, paradoxically, you also get these massive wet years, these huge downpours.
Right, you mentioned floods, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like in March 1949, and again in January 1974, they got around 390 millimeters just in that 1 month.
Nearly twice the annual average in a month.
Yep. Causes flash floods, cuts roads, major disruption. It's a land of extremes, feast or famine, literally.
Surviving that kind of instability takes some serious ingenuity. And I guess nowhere is that clearer than how they handle education. Tell us about the Tibooburra Outback School of the Air.
Ah, yes. The School of the Air. It's fascinating. The actual school building dates back to 1886, believe it or not.
Wow, that old.
Yeah, but it officially became a distance education center in 1991. And it's absolutely vital, not just for the kids in town, but maybe even more so for the children living on those huge, isolated sheep stations surrounding Tibooburra.
Right, because the distances are just immense. What about older kids? High school.
That's the big challenge. There are no high school facilities in Tibooburra, none at all.
So what do families do?
Well, the kids either have to travel 365 kilometers to the nearest high school, which usually means boarding.
Wow, 365 kilometers away.
Yeah. Or they homeschool. Or they go to boarding schools much further afield, often in cities.
The logistics are just mind-bending. But the School of the Air uses technology now, right? Not just radios anymore.
Oh, yeah, it's kept up.
Yeah.
They switched from the old two-way radio system to a satellite education program back in 2004. So it's much more interactive now with computers and satellite internet.
But it's not all remote, is it? They try to bring the kids together.
Definitely. That's crucial. They have these things called mini schools once a term. They pick a fun theme, like pirates or circus.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, and all the kids from the properties come into town for a few days. It's vital for socialization, for building that sense of community among the students.
And the teachers visit the kids, too.
They do. This is amazing dedication, I think. Teachers make 2 home visits each year to every family living out on the properties. They spend the whole day there, working with the student, connecting with the family. It provides that really essential face-to-face contact.
That level of commitment is really something else. It feels like that's the glue holding these remote places together.
Absolutely.
Now, if someone hasn't been to Tibooburra, hasn't experienced that remoteness, how can we kind of synthesize its character? There was that book, wasn't there, by Julietta Jameson?
Ah, yes. Tibooburra
Mm-hmm.
and The Legend of the Tree of Knowledge from
Good.
2001. That's a really great window into the place.
What's the story behind it?
Well, Jameson was a city journalist. She went out there on assignment, expecting a quick story, I suppose. But she just fell in love with the place, got completely captivated, and ended up staying for months.
Happens sometimes.
It does. And the book is her personal account. It weaves together the town's history, the harshness, the resilience with these really intimate stories of the local people she got to know. It gives you that human dimension.
Right. Puts faces to the facts and the landscape. So for the tourists who do make the trek out there now, especially with that sealed road, what are the main draws? What pulls people to that specific corner of the outback?
Well, the landscape itself is a huge part of it, that raw, arid beauty. And of course, the granite outcrops the town is named for. They're pretty unique.
Sure.
But Tibooburra also functions as a really important base, a jumping-off point for exploring some major regional landmarks,
Like what?
like Sturt National Park, which is huge and right on the doorstep. And Cameron Corner, that's the famous spot where the borders of New South Wales, Queensland, and South Australia all meet.
The corner country.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see that.
Yeah, it's a classic outback destination. And right along those borders, you've got another massive draw.
The dog fence.
Exactly. The dingo fence or dog fence.
Yeah.
This incredibly long fence stretching for thousands of kilometers. People love to see that. And within Sturt National Park, you can also visit the old Mount Wood Station homestead.
Okay.
It's heritage listed now. It preserves that later part of the history we talked about, the era of the big cattle and sheep stations.
So we've covered quite a bit of ground, haven't we? From Sturt's exploration struggles, the terrible forced relocation of the Wankumara people, the whole gold rush roller coaster, and then landing in this modern, culturally interesting, but still incredibly isolated town.
Yeah, it's quite the journey through time. And if you look at the bigger picture, Tibooburra really is a case study in resilience, isn't it? Resilience born out of sheer necessity. You see this community adapting. They embrace technology when needed, like the satellite education, but they also leverage their unique culture, the pub art, the history, and the landscape itself to draw in tourism and find new ways to survive, even thrive in what's still one of the most challenging environments in Australia.
That adaptability really is the key theme. So as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, maybe think about this contrast. You've got the town's deep historical isolation, physically cut off for so long, only really eased by that sealed road very recently in 2020.
Right.
But alongside that, you have the School of the Air, which demands constant, immediate, high-tech connectivity every single day to even function.
It's quite a paradox.
It is. So here's something to ponder. What fundamental human needs, things like community, structured learning, simple connection, does that School of the Air manage to meet, that even major physical infrastructure, like a brand new sealed road, can't entirely solve on its own? Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.